Ukraine's drone attack deep inside Russia on Sunday raises big questions. How will Russia respond? Will Putin use nuclear weapons against Kiev? Russia has the world's biggest nuclear arsenal. It possesses approximately 5,580 nuclear warheads with an estimated 1,710 deployed. Like the US, Russia has a nuclear triad of ground-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and strategic bombers. Russia has re-equipped its land-based strategic missile forces with mobile YARS ICBMs and recently begun deploying the heavy silo-based Sarmat ICBMs to gradually replace about 40 Soviet-built R-36M missiles. The Navy last year commissioned 7 new Borai-class atomic-powered submarines, each with Bulava nuclear-tipped missiles, and plans to build 5 more. They form the core of the triad's naval component alongside a new or a few Soviet-era nuclear subs still operating. Russia still relies on Soviet-built Tu-95 and Tu-160 strategic bombers carrying nuclear-tipped cruise missiles, including the KH-101 and its nuclear variant KH-102. Beyond strategic weapons, Russia maintains a vast stockpile of tactical nuclear arms designed for battlefield use. These include warheads, deliverable by aircraft, artillery system, and short-range missiles like the Iskander-M, which has a range of 500 kilometers. Nuclear is, however, the last resort, even though Russia signed a revamped version of the country's nuclear doctrine, spelling out circumstances that allow it to use its nuclear arsenal. It says that Russia reserves the right to use nuclear weapons not only in response to a nuclear attack, but also to respond to a conventional weapons attack that creates a critical threat to its sovereignty and territorial integrity, or to that of Russia's ally, Belarus. However, if a nuclear attack on Russia was confirmed, Putin could also activate the so-called dead hand or perimeter system of last resort, which essentially means computers will decide doomsday by launching Russia's entire arsenal if the Kremlin leadership faces destruction. However, Russia has said nothing about this system or its updates since Soviet times, so its current status is still unclear. Ambassador Joachim Bitterlich is a former ambassador to NATO and a former European diplomatic and security advisor to German Chancellor Helmut Kohl. The ambassador is now joining us live from Paris. Ambassador, welcome to the program. Why do you think Russia is keeping the world waiting for its response? It's been days after Ukraine conducted the strikes on Russian territory. What Russia did was to continue with its drone warfare by deploying over 400 drones towards Ukraine. Is there any other counterattack that is imminent?
Well, it's clear. After this, let's call it masterpiece of the Ukrainian Secret Service, we have to expect a severe reaction from the Russian side. In my eyes, it will not be nuclear at all. And the Russians, for them, the risk on nuclear is too high. And they reflect, and it's normal in my eyes, where to hit really the Ukraine again. Either it will be, for me, an attack to one of the major cities in Ukraine. This is one potential goal. The others could be even in western Ukraine, and the city of Lviv or Lov. And I do not exclude this means that the Russians will accelerate their offensive in the northeast towards the Ukrainian border, because they, well, it's true, it's the Russians' ego, or Putin's ego is deeply violated here, and it's true too that the hubris of Putin represents a certain danger. Because he feels covered by the majority in Russia, who do not know the objective truth in this war. And it's strange, it will be this double game of the Russians. Continue to hit and negotiate secondary subjects, and we are still far away from any ceasefire. Look at the memorandum the Russians have been presenting in the last days on the conditions, underlining their, let's say, conditions for any peace. And this means, let's call it the capitulation of Ukraine at the end of the day. And the Ukrainians will not follow this path. And therefore we are far away, let's say, from let's say, a ceasefire or from peace in this field.
Talking about the ceasefire, Ambassador, talking about the ceasefire, yes. And we clearly see that the talks or the negotiations are in limbo. What are the repercussions of this newfound drone warfare between Russia and Ukraine?
Well, the Russians are sticking to their goals. They have not been taken away any comma of their conditions up till now. And the Russians want to get, let's say, the surrender of Ukraine still. And they have not seen up till now enough that they are, let's say, they have been committing a series of errors in the last, let's say, months, if you want. They have lost, let's say, influence in Ukraine. Even those who had certain, let's say, understanding for Russia, it's out. The profitable trade with Western Europe has been stopped. They have allowed to transform the Baltic Sea to, let's say, a NATO area. Many intelligent people have been losing out. And the most important is Russia is deepening its total dependence on China. This is, for me, one of these key questions. I think these are, let's say, a certain number of errors on the side of Putin. But till now, he wants to underline that he is, let's say, on a certain offensive side. They are exchanging prisoners, okay, they're exchanging dead soldiers, yes. The Ukrainians have been introducing the question of taken children, etc. But these are, in my eyes, secondary subjects for the moment. And for the moment, as long as the Russian, let's say, war machine is working, they will continue. They would like to get their utmost goal, neutralization of Ukraine with a dependent government on Russia. And they would like, let's say, to take 20% of the Ukrainian territory forever. Don't forget, this territory they want to get is the former area of the armament industry of the Soviet Union. And the Crimea has symbolic importance for the Russians. It's true too.
Ambassador, you did mention that this speculation about nuclear warfare is unfounded and it's not possible. There are also critics who have said the same thing, that a nuclear warfare at this juncture is not possible. But let's talk about that. There has been speculation that Russia may resort to its nuclear triad in a not so distant future. Do you think Putin will be that daring and maybe resort in using his nuclear arsenal? Briefly.
But please reflect for 1 second. Let's imagine he would use, let's say, a limited nuclear strike on a certain area within Ukraine. The answer of Ukraine would be probably, let's say, missiles against major Russian cities. And this would hit Russia in a different way. And therefore, for me, Putin is perhaps had a certain hubris, yes, but on the other hand, he knows how to calculate this exactly. And as long as his nuclear capabilities in Russia and his sovereignty and territorial integrity are not hit or not really damaged, I don't see any nuclear response.
All right. Ambassador Bitterlik, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
It's a pleasure as always.